Isaiah. It's when God calls to Isaiah. And Isaiah responds. He responds by going, "Ooh, Lord, I am a man of unclean lips, and I'm probably not the person to deliver your message. And all these people around me, their lips aren't much better than mine." And then he comes and he puts the coal on his lips and says, "Your lips are no longer unclean. Go. Respond. Tell them what I need you to tell them." There's a process here that happens. And process is really important. The first thing that happens is that there is an understanding of God's presence there. And then there is a relationship. God speaks, and the person, the prophet in this case, says, "Whoa, I'm unworthy to be spoken to, for you are God." And then God says, "It's okay. I know that you're a person of unclean lips, but I can fix that." And so God does. And he takes the coal and he cleanses him of his sin. And then some people might think that that's the end of the story, but it's not. Because there's one step further in this process which is required. And that is that after the sin is forgiven, there is a call to action. He said, "I have come to you. You have acknowledged me. I have acknowledged you. You have acknowledged your unworthiness. I have made you worthy. Now you must go. And you must do the work I've given you to do." It's kind of our call, isn't it? I mean, when we come here to the baptism, Mufont, that is our call. We acknowledge God. We acknowledge our sins. God acknowledges our sins. God says, "I can fix that." With water and the Spirit. And then we're called to go forth and to do the work that God's called us to do with the gifts that God has given us. In our gospel lesson today, we come with the same kind of a process. It's the same steps. First of all, where do we begin today? What's happening? There's quite a crowd, isn't there? There's little gatherings. And where are they? They're near the water. That's right. That's right. And the crowds are kind of coming in. And so Jesus tries to figure out, how am I going to position myself, right? So that people can see me. And so I can see them. So what does he do? He calls in the boat. He says, "Simon, come in with the boat. Just put off a little ways." Then Jesus sits down. I'm always kind of intrigued. It's probably a good thing, because standing up in a boat like that is probably tough, right? So he sits down, and in a sitting position, as a position of teaching. So now he can see all of the people on the shore, and they can see him. So the beginning piece is an acknowledgement of Jesus. And then he teaches, and then you have to wonder what Simon's doing all this time. You get the impression he's in the boat, right? And you have to wonder what he's thinking. He's been out all night. He's tired. He hasn't caught any fish, which is always a bummer. And then he turns to him and he says, "Simon, put down your net." His response is very interesting. In the Greek, he uses the word master. And this term is one of kind of like an overseer. Like a slave would respond if you were a slave to someone. This is clearly, he's not This is not necessarily a glorious term. This is kind of a like, well, if I have to do it, I'm going to do it because you told me to, kind of thing. Okay, Master. Sometimes a person with a dog. Okay, Master, I'll go fetch the ball. Right? Yeah. So this is how this word is interpreted. So he says, okay, I'll do it. So he puts the net into the water. And we all know the story from here. It's like the fish went, hey, it's Jesus, jump in the net. Right? And the fish, they come and they jump in the net, and Simon's like, I could have had a V8 type of moment, right? And he calls his buddies in and he says, we got some fish. Start putting them in the boat. They need the other boat. There is an abundance, right? Because that's the way God works. God doesn't add things up. God multiplies. So we have an abundance. And it's at that point in time, whether it was a sudden revelation or whether it was him having an epiphany at the moment. But what does he do? What does Simon do at that point? Check the scripture. It's in the bulletin. What does he do? Yes, he goes, he had to turn to meditation. Does he get on his knees? I think he does. And he says, I am a sinful man. He suddenly realizes that this is a person, this isn't somebody who's asking to go catch a ball. This is someone of great importance. This is a prophet, potentially the Messiah. And he gets down on his knees and he says, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. He confesses. And what does Jesus say to him? This is one of my favorite lines. What does Jesus say to him?
Do not be afraid.
Do not be afraid. Repeat it.
Do not be afraid.
Very nice. One more time.
Do not be afraid.
What does Jesus say?
Do not be afraid.
Excellent. Yeah, he said, don't be afraid. And the text goes on to say that he was amazed. Now, there are only 3 times in the book of Luke and Acts that the word amazed is used. And in this, what that word amazed means was that he was awed, and yet he was afraid. He was awed and yet frightened. And Jesus said, it's okay to be awed, but don't be afraid. And this is an pivotal moment. And he says, because you're not going to catch fish anymore, now you're going to catch people. And they take the boats in, and we don't hear what happens to the crowds. We don't know if people ate. We don't know what happened. But here's what we do know that the text tells us. That Simon Peter, eventually Peter, James and John, they just followed Jesus. They just followed him. That was the action. So there is a relationship where we acknowledge that God is here. Then, so we have an acknowledgement that he was here. Then we have a confession that says, I'm unworthy. Then Jesus says, you are worthy. Don't be afraid. And then there's an action to go out into the world. That's what our service is all about every Sunday. We come in, we acknowledge God's presence. We confess that we are people who are sinful. We don't always do what God wants us to do. After we confess those sins, we then are told, you are worthy. Don't do it again. You're worthy. And then, just to reinforce that, he says, come to my table and I will feed you. I will feed you in body, mind, and soul. Come to me. And then, at the end of our service, what are we told to do? Go out. Go out and do the work that you've been given to do.
Amen.